Alrighty, hello everybody. My name is Plywood, and tonight I will be doing a speedrun of Steel Battalion for the original Xbox, only on original Xbox, a mech simulator game released in 2002 with over 30 buttons, 5 switches, 2 joysticks, gear shifter, and 3 pedals. We got 2 cams going on right now for both the pedal cam and the controller cam. It's absolute madness. I am joined with Chef Tig, another runner, the only other active runner of this game right now. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing well. How are you, Ply?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited for a Steel Battalion marathon run. So yeah. It looks like we are going to be doing Japanese unless something changed for the voice acting. We have to decide now.
Correct, it is Japanese.
Okay, so we will be doing Japanese rather than English. And we will be starting as a new pilot because this is a new game run. So I think we'll be together in the year 2020.
While Ply is getting set up, I do want to just point out a few things about this game for him. We are getting he's doing a new pilot. This game does have permadeath. If your mech is destroyed and you do not hit the eject button that is just a little off camera at the bottom of Ply's camera there, your pilot dies and the game will delete your save files. So it's one of the many quirks that we'll be going over in this game as Ply goes through the run.
That's right. So time is starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And we'll be doing the 2080 campaign. There's 2 campaigns in this game. This is the first campaign. We're going to be starting with the tutorial level where we're supposed to get familiar with our mech. We're thrown into the mech. We got an attack on our training compound. We got to help everyone out. So there's a process that we have to go through every time we want to start up the mech. We have to close the cockpit hatch, use the ignition, flip 5 toggle switches, and then press start once all the bars cross that line. We'll be doing that every time we do a mission in this game.
One thing to note, you'll see Ply flipping the switches back after everyone. That's just to reset for the next startup sequence that he's going to have to do. There is a follow-up multiplayer game to this where you cannot do that. If you do that, your mech will shut down, but in this single-player version, it's perfectly fine. You're going to see Ply in this first level using the plasma torch to boost himself forward. It helps us with our movement, helps keep movement nice and quick. And he has to take out 2 mechs known as Vitzes, V-I-T-Z-H. Bits is the other name we use for them, and it's a quick, nice first level. Good job.
Yeah, thanks. So I will be having to go between each mission and changing my gear if I need to get better weapons for the situation. So I'm actually switching out my single shot rifle for a twin shot rifle because, you know, double the firepower, double the fun. And every mech has a weight limit that we need to operate under. So whenever you add or subtract weapons or fuel, that will increase or decrease your overall weight. So that's something we have to keep in mind whenever we go to intermission between levels.
Speaking of fuel, you guys are looking at a very complicated cockpit. In the bottom left corner, you're going to see 2 gauges. Those are Ply's backup fuel batteries. To the right of that is his main fuel tank. Just above that, you're going to see 4 orange lights. That is Ply's health indicator. If you see those tick down, then he is taking enough damage to destroy him a few shots at a time. If all 4 of those go out, then Ply will need to eject. With marathon luck, we're praying that doesn't happen. It shouldn't happen, but it could.
Yep, the route of this game has changed quite a bit over the last few years. The route overall has become safer, but this game can still be very cruel depending on your execution and how much the enemy mechs really want to take the fight to you, so to speak. So in this first legitimate level, now we are done with the tutorial, we need to take out 70% of the enemy forces. And one thing you're going to see me do, I'm going to start dashing, or sidestepping as the game calls it. This is a very key part of the strategy in this game, being able to dash out of the way of incoming fire. As you can see, this game doesn't have like a really high frame rate, but it's kind of to our advantage that that's the case. We don't really want a high frame rate because this game is much more strategy, tactical based than, you know, very...
It's not arcade action.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like a twitchy kind of game. We want to be very deliberate with our actions and see shots are coming at us. And we know shots are coming at us by an audio cue of a beep, 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 and the HUD will change colors as well. So that's how you know I'm actually about to get hurt. There's a shot flying at me. Now, not all shots are actually dangerous because there's an effective range to every gun. So even if there's a bullet flying at me, it's not necessarily going to hurt.
Speaking of effective range, on the targeting reticle that you can see on Ply's screen, you're going to see a set of arrows that will either be sitting at the top and bottom of the reticle itself or sliding to the sides. If the arrows meet on the left side, that means his secondary weapon is in range. If they meet on the right side, that means his primary weapon is in range. So that helps us determine where our firing, when to fire, excuse me. Ply is using that plasma torch to accelerate himself forward, getting into range of these last few mechs. Real quick, what we didn't mention is this is Mission 1. This is storming the beaches of Haishidao, also known as Totally Not Normandy. And it seems like he's cleaning up pretty well.
Just gotta clear out a few units, and eventually, you should be able to clear it. Sometimes you need to like just pick off a few more units. It can be a bit annoying. This stage, it's weird. The later 70% annihilation stages where you have to clear enough units, it's very cut and dry how many units you have to take out. It's kind of weird. Mission 1 isn't really like that. It's not consistent, which is pretty annoying, but we're out of there. Now we're on to Mission 2, and we have to secure the beachhead, which essentially just means we need to climb a hill and take out 3 vortex mechs. And the hard part of this mission is a turn we need to do. It's basically a hairpin turn onto a very steep hill, and I will be using my gear shifter to great effect because just like in a car, you don't want to be in a high gear when you're trying to climb a hill. You want to be in a low gear because that gives you the most torque. Thankfully, we don't have to do any clutch maneuvers in Steel Battalion, but the concept of shifting gears still exists in this game.
One thing to note is that your mech can tip over. If you are accelerating and you'll notice Ply using that left joystick to turn his mech left and right. If he turns too hard to one side while his foot is fully down on the accelerator, the mech will start to tip over. You can use your slide step button to correct that, but slide stepping uses a certain kind of battery energy. If that energy is too low, Ply will just simply tip over and have to stand back up.
Yeah, if you see the word heat appear on my display, that means I'm accumulating a lot of depleting a lot of my battery, so you have to be very careful about that, especially since this is the Gen 1 mech. This is the most basic mech, and that's the mech that really, you know, this is a very basic I unbalanced.
You tipped over, didn't you?
I did.
And so same as the other time, I will be donating $10 for every time Ply tips his mech over.
I've already bet the same number, but this was earlier.
I know you have. So yes,
I have to not tip over any more than this.
I will invite chat to join me in this if Ply tips over, donating $10 to the cause. So Just don't bankrupt me, Ply. That's all I ask. If
I'm
you tip over a
trying
few
not,
more
I'm
times,
trying not to. Trying not to. So something I'm doing right here is something called clip dumping. It's a technique that the multiplayer uses quite a bit. So there's a magazine change button in the center block, and that magazine change is so if you run out of ammo in your clip, you reload, right? Well, if you use that clip change, that magazine change, you can fire immediately after you do the magazine change. So you can pump out a lot of damage very quickly. The downside to it is if you haven't gone through all of your clip yet, you waste a lot of ammo doing that, and that can be problematic depending on the stage. It's not really a problem there on that stage, but it can be in certain other ones. So now we are going to be driving across a bridge that will be blowing up because we're just that cool, but we won't be sticking around for the bridge blowing up. We're going to get across the bridge in time to avoid that fate because we need to get to a comm tower.
Yeah, mission 3 is race to the comm tower. You need to secure a communications tower in the lore of the game. What this means in terms of our speed run is run through the level, don't really need to kill anything, and just go as quick as you can, particularly across the bridge, because like Ply said, if you stay on the bridge too long, the bridge will detonate and fall into the water, and your mech is not watertight, and you will need to eject from the mech. It's kind of a pain, and it's really well, if you don't get across quick enough, it's very unfortunate. The biggest thing in this level is trying to dodge around mechs. Ply's doing a pretty good job. Right before the tower, you're going to see 3 mechs that usually are going to be what typically will get in our way. We'll see if they decide to be friendly in their movement. The movement is fairly random, so we'll see what happens.
Yep, that's right. We want to see the VTs, the vertical tanks, that's what they're called in this game, to move to the right. So I want this one on the left to move to the right. Looks like he's considering it. Nope, he decided against it, so I'm going to try and thread the needle. I think I can thread this needle. Oh!
Did you get it? No, just short of threading the needle. Just short of threading the needle.
Yeah.
These mechs are definitely wider than they appear. The collision boxes are a little bit larger than you would think. So sometimes threading a needle or getting around a mech, getting around a building can be just a little bit tougher than we want. And there we go, clearing the 3rd level.
Yep, now I have a little menu I need to do here. For marathon safety, I'm gonna buy some supplies. We're gonna change some stuff up because we are gonna need a lot of firepower since we're about to take on a big old boat.
So first boss of the run is the Battleship. This is a level that has plagued us for a long time. It still plagues us. If done incorrectly or we get really unlucky, this can be a run killer. And Ply, of course, activating the boombox there, which is the only source of music in the game, listening to Cleavage, apparently, which, I like listening to Cleavage, but that's a whole nother issue.
That's right. So we're going to be fighting the Battleship, and this is by far one of the hardest stages in the entire game. That's because the Battleship can really do a lot of damage to you if you're not positioned properly. And the Battleship has its own platoon of VTs guarding it, so we have to both dodge the incoming fire from the vertical tanks and the Battleship. However, with some routing development and some strategy, we've been able to successfully avoid most of the damage from the Battleship, and with the use of the smoke grenades, we can delay the vertical tanks from shooting us. That's the theory. In practice, because vertical tanks don't always act the same way every time, sometimes they're very active, other times they're just kind of passive and don't really do anything. You have to think on your feet, pay attention to the radar at the top of the screen, that's very key, and make sure not to drop into the water, because again, these are not boats, these are tanks. I wish it was a boat though. That would be cool.
Boat mode would be fun, but that's a whole other issue.
The boat tank, the vertical boat. Okay, so this is good. This is really good. This scare face is moving to the right. This is exactly what we want to see, because if this scare face goes to the left, I'm pretty much required to take it out, and hopefully I don't take too much damage from these guys, because I'd rather not have to call in a supply drop if I can. If I lose any HP, which I just did, so we're going to be calling in a supply drop, and you're going to hear that wonderful Japanese voice acting. It's just a safety precaution, because you really don't want to have to redo any stage if you can. It's just a real hassle. I could definitely beat the boat without, losing a quarter of my HP, but it's just safer this way.
For probably while we're waiting for that, it's a good. Will end up being a good time for a donation. You think?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Certainly, thank you very much. I'd like to remind everybody that we have a couple of bid wars coming up for Final Fantasy Legend 2. We've actually got 5 of them. You can help choose a name for the monster in the party. You can help choose the first human/Esper and the second. You can even decide whether we pick up 2 Espers or 2 humans to accompany the monster and the robot. And you can even name the robot itself. All of those don't have any bids to it currently, and there's a couple of hours out until we actually hit that run. So if you want to influence that run, please get your donations in now.
Fantastic. So we just called in Wagon Master, who is our supply comms. There's a radio dial in the middle of the center block, and I can call my commanding officer. I can call for backup from the other people in the Oscar platoon. But I just called for a supply chopper to come in, and so the supply chopper takes about a minute to fly in. Eventually it shows up.
That Vitch is just really being mean to you right now.
I know. Usually the lock-on does a pretty good job for itself. I'm not actually going to get all my HP back, so this was actually kind of pointless, but you know what? It's okay.
It's okay.
I'm going to believe in my mech skills.
I believe in you.
Thank you.
I believe in you.
Thank you. So, we're going to be approaching the battleship now. And as your VT pilot, I do have to remind you all that you should have your seatbelts fastened, because it's going to get a little bit bumpy.
All right, coming up onto the battleship, Ply is going to have to destroy the front 2 cannons, the rear cannon, the bridge, and the what I believe is the radio tower to get the boat to sink. Once he has detonated all these things, blown all these things up, he's going to have to wait for what is about a 15 to 20 second detonation animation before the ship finally is completely sunk, and it will give us the mission complete notification. All the while, you will see to Plywood's left there are 3 mechs you can see on the radar that are going to be firing at him, which are really the biggest issue that we are going to be facing from this battleship. Most of the fire coming from the smaller cannons don't affect him that much, and the front cannons cannot currently turn and hit him. That being said, you're looking a little hairy. That's marathon luck for you. Interestingly, the mechs don't seem to be turning and firing from what I'm seeing, so that's good. Oh no, of course they're gonna prove me wrong, aren't they? Of course they're gonna prove me wrong.
Oh, they're kind of behind me. This is kind of weird. Okay, we're fine. I'm just gonna
down though. Yeah.
Just gonna bring that truck back.
Yeah. Just gotta back it up. The other biggest thing you can that could be an issue in this map is if you're dodging around, dodging shots, and you're not paying enough attention. What happens to me all the time is I dodge right into the water, and as we said before, these mechs can't swim. But good job getting past that. That's our first major hurdle of the run. Mission 5 is coming up. Mission 5 is our where we get introduced to our Generation 2 mechs, and this is a package pickup mission. You have to pick up 3 packages off of the backs of 3 trucks, and it's one of the more difficult mechanics of the game is using the grab arm So you'll see Ply using the manipulator arm after running around. Gen 2 mechs do have an ability called Overdrive. Overdrive is going to put your engine into high gear. It is going to let you accelerate to a higher speed. It is going to keep your battery full all the time so you can slide step almost constantly. And this is all wonderful, except for the fact that it does burn up much, much more fuel than normal. So you do have to be careful how much fuel you are going through, because you can run out and get stuck in place if you don't pay attention.
That's right. But we're not just picking up packages here, folks. I do have another friend we need to pick up, and that is some cows. We have a donation incentive that got met for me to pick up a cow and let it take a joyride with our wonderful...
Yeah, we're joyriding some cows.
Joyriding the cow.
You can see those first couple grabs, Ply missed there, and it can be really tricky to line up that...
Did I not pick that up? I thought I did.
No, you got the first one.
I did hear the actual audio cue. That's what freaked me out.
I saw you. I saw
me pick it up. It's very strange because usually there's a ba-ding when you pick up a crate, yet I didn't get the audio cue, so it freaked me out. I've never had that not play. Very strange.
Marathon luck.
There it is. Okay. Maybe it's all the explosions, you know, it's that fog of war, you know. It's starting to freak me out a little bit, but it's all good. We're going to go pick up our cow. Thank you all for donating to that incentive. We're going to give this cow a once through around the field here. Some cows.
Well, your serenading of the cow is very moving.
I know. So here's a bunch of cows. It's actually kind of hard to pick them up because they're... there he is.
Fun fact.
Here's our friend.
Fun fact, you can actually pick up soldiers and tanks and other smaller vehicles. But there's our cow friend. Say hello.
Yep, he's hanging out. I'm gonna zoom in on that beautiful polygons. Oh yeah, look at that cow.
Oh look at that. That cow is just having the time of his life.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I mean, we're gonna milk this run as long as we can. I mean, really, that's, you know.
Listen. I don't need that amount of cheese in this speedrun, okay? I really don't. All right.
But
I mean, what does this look like to you? This is Wisconsin? No, this is Haishidao, man. This is Haishidao.
I mean, it looks like pretty solid movement. I mean,
oh man.
You never expected this when you asked me to couch for you, did you?
I mean, I probably should have expected something. All right, I'm gonna put this cow back down. I'm sure it's fine. The cow's fine. Don't worry about the cow. The cow's fine.
Yeah, the cow's fine. And you gotta go grab that third crate.
Yeah,
now.
I guess I have to go do my job as a member of the Pacific Rim Forces. Please don't fall in front of the crate. I want the crate action. I want that crate action.
Okay, so that's $20.
I went to my knees, to be fair. I went to my knees as a mech.
You went down. You went down.
You know, I was just taking a knee for the cow, okay?
Yeah,
listen.
We know you were just taking a knee for the cow.
In honor of the cows in the field in Mission 5. Anyways, now that we've got our jokes out of the way...
Mission 6 is a movement heavy mission. It is a recon mission. You are required to locate a factory and then get the heck out. The biggest thing in this mission is fuel management. We can move very quickly there, very quickly out, but if we use the overdrive the entire way, we will completely run out of fuel. So, very important, as we said earlier, is not tipping. It's not overusing your overdrive, and it's being very, very precise on your turning lines. One interesting thing to note is we mentioned that you can tip your mech over, but that's only if you're pressing the accelerator pedal. If your foot is completely off the accelerator pedal all the way up, It does not matter how fast your mech is currently moving. If you put it into a turn, it will turn and not fall as long as your foot is off the pedal. It's just a manipulation of the mechanics of the game that we like to use, and yeah.
That's right. So sometimes I will just feather with my accelerator, but if I'm taking a really sharp turn, which is anything more than a few degrees, I will let off on the gas for a moment. Now, one of the things about gearing and fuel consumption, since it's really important in this stage that we don't consume fuel too much, is third gear is actually the most efficient gear. So if I want to move efficiently and not consume a lot of fuel, then I will be driving in third. Now is a time for a slide step to get around this canyon. Nice.
Yeah. We do use a couple of slide steps to keep ourselves from having to turn too much, because you can use them to get around. Coming up on the hardest turn in the level is this hairpin turn we have to make to get into the area where the factory is. Some of these mechs can be really friendly or unfriendly, and it doesn't look like that Scareface is being too friendly.
Yeah,
but
he was going into my path, which is always really annoying when they start driving towards where I need to go, because then you collide and then you lose all your momentum. It's annoying. We want that mech to go to the left, not to the right. But here's the factory. I'm gonna slowly decelerate.
So as soon as we get the notification and we start getting a call from Argus, who is the command, we want to turn around and run away as quick as we can, because mechs known as Jarlax will start pouring out of the factory and start bombarding us with all kinds of nasty missiles and melee weapons, and they will start chasing us. If you are grinding supply points, which is what you use to buy new mechs in this game, for a campaign, this is a good place to do it, where you can stand and take out these mechs.
Yeah, because they spawn infinitely.
They will infinitely spawn. But in our case, in the speedrun, we don't need to do that. We don't want to do that. We just want to run past and run away and get the heck out as quick as we can.
Yep, and one very key thing as we go later on, and I was using here, is chaff grenades. Chaff grenades disable homing missiles, and you really do not want to get hit by a homing missile. They do a lot of damage, especially in our light blade mech that we're using right now. I'm actually going to go into standard and out of override, just so I can make sure that I'm not going to run out of fuel before we exit. If you run out of fuel, then you need to call a supply chopper, and usually what that means is that I'm literally 100 feet from the exit, and I'm waiting on a supply chopper, so that's not fun. We don't want to do that.
There is nothing more humiliating than being about 100 feet from the exit and needing to call the supply chopper to waste almost an entire minute.
I'm sorry, Chef. I'm sorry.
Okay. So that's 30.
I feel like I owe it to you that I do this as well, because I'm doing a lot worse today. All right. It's okay though, folks. It's okay though. That was not a high stakes imbalance.
No, but most of this next mission will be.
Yep.
Mission 7 is our second boss mission. It is the longest mission in the game, and it is the factory assault. So we found where the factory was in Mission 6. It is time to go infiltrate it and take what's inside it. It is a night mission. We are going to be running to the factory and getting inside, getting to the most difficult movement in the game, which is elevators. You wouldn't think that elevators would be the hardest thing in the game, but no, you have to get into the elevator, use the manipulator claw to press the button on the elevator, and make sure you're all the way inside the door. It's a lot more annoying than it sounds. You'll see in a few minutes.
That's right. Since we're just driving to the factory, this is a pretty good time for a few donations, if there are any.
Absolutely, thank you very much. We have a $25 donation from Major Pancakes, who just says, Lord Paul. Thank you very much for the generous donation.
I got to tell you, I know you're not watching chat right now, but the beef and cow puns that have we started,
it hasn't stopped.
Oh,
Can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah, they're. Yes, like Apache Smash says, trying to get these people to stop is an utter mistake.
I think we need to put this cream on ice, man. It's getting a little bit too rich for me. But we got a new weapon. We're using the Prominence M1. This is the mech we're going to be using through the rest of the run. And one of the key things with this mech is that we have ASMIS. And these are
the Artemis missile system.
Yes, they are fire and forget missiles. They home in and they are very deadly. That Vitch died in 2 hits, and if you don't die in 2 hits, well, you're gonna get knocked to the floor. And when you get knocked to the floor, you're in trouble. All right, you're in trouble.
The Artemis missile system does 1,000 damage, which is the second highest amount a weapon can do or does in this game. The highest being the railgun, which you will be seeing in the next mission, which is what we will earn after this mission.
Yep. The only issues with these ASMIS is the range requirement. We need to be far away, and
yes,
if they chaff, they can disable the ASMIS, but this Jarlik is no problem for us.
The Jarlik is actually using the ASMIS against us. When you see those little a little yellow triangle pop up on the HUD, that is a missile being fired off of an enemy mech that is homing in on you, and that is when you will see Ply use his own chaff to stop it from targeting properly.
Yep, so that was the first major hurdle to this stage, is that Jarlik. We really want to take out that Jarlik for safety purposes because he can get in our way and cause us to lose HP, and I really don't want to lose any HP going into the factory here. That way I can avoid having to do a supply drop. So since we're just entering the factory here, we got time for another couple donations.
Certainly, I'd like to remind everybody of our awesome sponsor HyperX. During ESA Together, the first 800 subs to ESA will be matched by a $2.50 donation from our sponsor HyperX. Let's smash that goal and work our way toward another emote slot that everyone can use, and we are currently at 488 sub points out of 800. We're almost at 500. I bet we could meet that.
I think so. Now, we are going to be entering the factory proper, but not before we get some hoodlum behind the door that we have to avoid. Now, he thinks he's really sly hiding behind this door, but we know he's here. We know he's here. We
mainly know he's there because the other guy's dead.
Yeah. So we're going to let him back up. And then once he backs up, I'm going to zap him and then move out of the way because I don't want to fight him.
We used to wait for him to stand back up to use the zapper, the plasma torch again on him. And then we kind of realized, hey, we can actually fit around him, and it's going to take him forever to turn around and shoot us in the back. And by that time, we're usually around the corner and heading into the elevator. So it's really not worth the extra, I think it's about 10 or 15 seconds that you lose trying to just wait for him to blow up. So, because after you shoot him, there's also the lovely death animation you have to wait for. Welcome to the elevators. So
all right,
let's see.
That was not too bad.
That was pretty smooth. That was a pretty smooth elevator movement. Yeah. So elevators, again, they put the button on the wall next to the elevator doors, and of course that's not the way you're facing when you get to the elevator. So you have to turn your mech around, or you can torso twist. By the way, you can torso twist your mech and look around. There is a hat on the right thumbstick, so that does let you move around. Yeah, there you go. Nice wiggle. This is the bridges part of the factory, also known as "Don't be this guy."
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. There's a mech in front of him who's standing there shooting at other mechs, and he just gets blown to heck. You don't want to be that guy. You do want to, however, turn to your right and shoot down the 6 giraffe mechs that are on the opposite bridge as you are doing a drive-by, because if you can do that now, then once you have to get around the corner, you don't have to face them on their own territory. And giraffes, while they are absolutely glass cannons. It's the cannon part you need to worry about, and they can do some serious damage to your mech if you're not careful.
Yeah, so I missed one, but that's fine. You just don't want to have a whole battalion of them behind the door, because they'll rain absolute heck on you, and it hurts quite a bit. They basically do as much damage as a VT, so it's not something you want to sustain.
There are two enemies in the game that you can lock onto that are not pilotable mechs. The giraffe is one, and the cilia is the other. Those are you're going to see two of them coming up in just a moment. They're little spidery four-legged mech things on wheels, I guess they really are. All the other enemies in the game, you can see them in targeting boxes, but you cannot actually lock onto them, but you can shoot them freehand. Speaking of lock-on, you're going to be seeing Ply using the lock-on against various mechs, but coming up in the next couple of levels, the mechs start getting harder, and they start dodging your shots. They can slide step the same way we can. The AI does this by seeing that you have a direct lock on a mech. Well, there's some tech that we can use where we can fire a weapon or start to fire a weapon and then lock on, which helps us which prevents the AI of the enemies from doing their slide step after we fired the weapon already, and we'll get more into that in the next level.
So as you all know, we have a lot of buttons, so here's a fun little button, the night scope, which we can use in this factory, because why not? You got a lot of interesting little buttons. Some of them actually don't really do much of anything on this campaign, or they're very, very situational. By and large, we only are pressing, like, I don't know, 5 or 7 buttons or something, typically. It seems like a lot more than it actually is, on average. You're really messing with buttons on the middle and on the joysticks.
Yeah, to be fair, 8 of the buttons/switches that exist, you are using only for startup. That's all you're going to use them for, is during that startup sequence at the start of every level. So we're coming up on the boss, which is a Jarlath type C, I think it is. I can never remember. But what we're going to be doing here is we are going to be using the plasma torch to get up and in his face as quickly as we can. And take him out. It takes 2 plasma torch hits to take out this mech, and typically, if you can get up in his face quick enough, he like he just did, kind of looks away and doesn't pay attention to us.
Just takes it.
He just kind of takes it and goes down. That used to be one of the scariest bosses until we figured this out, and then he just kind of became really, really trivial.
Yeah, a lot of the enemies don't handle you super well if you get right up in their face. They just kind of get confused. So the reason why we went to that factory is to get some new technology, and oh, do we got some new technology, I gotta say. We got a fantastic railgun, which we are going to be playing with in this next level.
Mission 8 is your friendly... We call this you have new toys, play with them. So there are 5 mechs, 6 mechs that need to be destroyed in this level. You've just earned the railgun, and the game basically gives you this open field with a couple mechs in it to go, here, learn how to use this.
And learn we will. So the railgun is by far the most powerful weapon in the game. It fires fairly quickly. It fires essentially an infinite range. If you can see a target on your screen, you can fire the railgun at it, which is very nice. And you only have 10 shots like the Asmus, but most mechs, like the Vitches, they'll die in 1 hit. And if you're not dying in 1 hit, you're going down. And at that point, you're easy pickings.
Yeah. As we were saying about the targeting, the railgun does have a delay on its fire after you pull the trigger, which is where we will use that technique of pulling the trigger on the railgun and then targeting to make sure that the hit goes in on the first shot and is not dodged. Somebody said something in chat, and it made me think of something. What do you think it would be the incentive to try and do an all-tickler run?
I don't even want to humor that. That would take so long.
Tickler is the nickname for the manipulator arm, by the way. Everybody, you can kill mechs with the manipulator arm, but it's like it's kind of almost like knife runs in the original um, Resident Evil, only like
I don't even
100
think
times
it's
worse.
even worse than that, because like the manipulator arm does like barely any damage. So like imagine us getting into rage like we do with the plasma torch, but instead of doing amazing damage, we do like we're throwing like pebbles at a wall basically and waiting until enough pebbles make the wall fall down. It's not fun.
Okay, Mission 9, Battle on the Plains. It's another field. This is another mission where you have to take out 70% of the enemy forces. Until Ply found some really good routing, and we were told by a very nice player from the Steel Battalion multiplayer community about the Asmus weapon. This was the most difficult mission for us. It has once again kind of been trivialized, not quite. You still got to be careful as you do in much of this game, but the Asmus and Railgun make this a lot easier. This is also the only mission where you absolutely have to take a supply drop. There is no two ways about it. You must take a supply drop in this mission because you just do not have enough ammunition.
Unless you want to tickle everyone.
Unless you want to tickle everyone.
Yeah. So we take out. We just took out a Regal Dress. These are some of the most dangerous mechs in the game. They have some amazing firepower, so we got to be careful with them. But they do have a very good tell we can use against them when they start trying to use their missile attack on us. So, he just chaffed me. That's okay though. He just took one.
The Regal Dresses do have and will use chaff, but like Ply was saying, they will, before firing their own missiles, they will square themselves up and brace themselves before firing, and when they do that, we can hit them with a railgun shot every single time. To answer some questions I'm seeing, this game cannot be played without this controller. There is no way to play this game with a regular Xbox controller. You cannot get past the main menu without this controller. So there is absolutely no way to use it. So yes, you do have to learn to use this honking beast of a controller, and it's really fun. If you guys are interested, there is a great community, the Steel Battalion X-Link Kai community, where people still play online via a LAN game manipulation, and it's a really great people. So shout out to them. And they helped us figure out a lot about the weapons in this game, and which really helped improve our routing.
Right there, the Wagon Master just complained because the supply chopper went down, so I just used something called call canceling, so I don't have to listen to that, because I don't need to listen to that. I got stuff to do. I gotta fire missiles and make sure I don't have to drain Chef's bank account. So that's what we're up to right now. We have to flank these guys because they are moving up the hill. Oh, he braced himself. That's dangerous, son. That's dangerous. You don't want to do that against me. I'm ready for you.
That's a great thing. Yeah, call canceling lets you basically acknowledge or get through an audio call on the radio without actually having to listen to it, like Ply said, because some of the messages can take forever to get through, and it can just be a bit of a pain.
Yeah, it's not really. Yeah, this is going pretty well. It's not the call canceling is not really that important for this campaign, but on Campaign 2082, that's actually a very key component of a strategy for one of the stages, so we don't have to listen to a lot of dialogue. So we just got to clean up a few more little mechs. We took out all the big scary mechs, all the Regal Dresses. Those are the ones you got to be really careful about. The Vitches and the Scare Faces, well, they're Vitches and Scare Faces. They go down like no one's business. Except my business. Because I got a railgun. Baboosh. So I think this is a good time for a couple more donations before we finish this up with the final mission.
Certainly. Well, chat, if you're looking at that awesome set of controllers, do you know what would go well with that? A HyperX Fury Ultra RGB mousepad, which can be yours for a minimum $15 bid. You have a chance to enter the prize draw to win. Amazing sponsors HyperX have also given us some other amazing prizes to give away, such as the Cloud Flight S wireless headset, the Cloud X Flight wireless headset, the Pulsefire Dart wireless mouse, and the Stinger wireless PS4 headset. So with minimum donation of at least 15 for the mousepad and 20 to 25 for everything else, you could be within the chance to win some amazing prizes.
Okay,
Fantastic.
so we are now at the capital of the opposing forces. We are going to be taking out the presidential building, and then we will be fighting the final boss of this campaign, the Juggernaut mech, which is a mech you actually can operate in this game. It is by far the strongest mech in this game. It drives like a go-kart. It has the highest weight limit, so you can carry 2 railguns on each shoulder. It is an incredible piece of technology, but we'll see how well it fares against our little mech here.
Yeah. The Juggernaut is the mech we use for the New Game Plus runs. It is the only mech we use in the New Game Plus runs, which is part of the reason I happen to think that the New Game runs are a little bit more interesting. You do get to see 3 or 4 mechs in this run. I use 4, Ply only uses 3. But that's, runner differences, as you will.
Preferences. So they want you to go fight people at a stadium and go fight these extra mechs. And look, we got a job to do. We got to go take out the presidential building, so that's what we're going to do, and not fall over, because we can catch ourselves. And it's very important here. Ow, oh man, they are really pumping the damage into me. Jeez, nice shots.
Are they being mean?
Yeah, they were being mean. This is ridiculous.
In Mission 10, there's just mechs everywhere. There's a whole arena that you can take on full of them. There's also mech traps in this level that if you go through one, it will shut your mech down, and you will need to do your startup sequence again, except for closing the cockpit, because the cockpit doesn't pop open or anything. But we are coming up on the final run. Ply will need to destroy the presidential building with a bunch of missiles and railgun. No, you just use missiles to destroy the building, and then we will need to take out the Juggernaut. And once the Juggernaut detonates and it goes to red, or the screen goes to white, that will be the end of the run. So Ply, you'll need to, because of the delay, you'll just let me know when it goes to white, please.
Will do. All right, so now we are going to fight the Juggernaut. Not listen to our commanding officer, because he's just gonna be like, hey man, you gotta fight the Juggernaut. All right, thanks. Yeah, I know. You don't have to tell me.
And it's the Juggernaut Vitch.
Yes, it's the Juggernaut Vitch. Let's see. This Juggernaut's being agreeable today. Well, that's fantastic. Yay. It is done. It is down for the count. The last marathon run I did, the Juggernaut was not quite as agreeable my first time, but hey, this time Juggernaut went down without any problems. So time's coming up very soon. Please do not hit me. Stupid red circles. I don't have time for that. I'm riding off into the sunset.
Because the bad MFs we don't look at the explosions.
That's right. We don't look at those explosions. We create them.
Good run, sir. Good job.
Thank you.
So that's going to be $30 from me.
$30 for me too.
$30.
I have to make up for the fact that I multiplied my drops by threefold. I only dropped once before last week. And this time I dropped 3 times. That's okay though, because you know what, folks? I had a great time doing this for all of you. I hope you enjoyed watching some vertical tank action. How do you feel, Chef?
Good. Oh, I love getting to commentate for this for you, and maybe one of these days I'll be able to run it myself in an event. But 46-22, sir, not bad.
Not bad at all, considering I was giving the cow the joyride and the little sluggish start on stage 4. I think I'm pretty satisfied with that run. So I want to do some quick shout outs before we head on over to the next run, Recoil, which is another tank game by PMC Trilogy. You want to check that out. because his tank goes way faster than mine. And it actually can go on water. It turns into a hovercraft. I wish mine did, but you know.
Lucky.
I know,
Lucky.
right? So, of course, special thanks to Chef Tig for doing commentary for this run. It was always a pleasure, and it's really hard to commentate for this run on your own because there's just a lot to do. This is a multitasking simulator, so you have to be on your toes, and it's good to have a fellow pilot with me.
You're very welcome, sir. Always a pleasure.
And, of course, shout-outs to the Steel Battalion X-Link Kai community, still playing the multiplayer game Line of Contact, and Holaris and Sheepdog for their contributions to the routing. If you're interested in running this game, you special soul who have an original Xbox and maybe one of these controllers stashed in your attic or something, well, I actually do have a speedrun guide with notes that you can find on the leaderboard. It's a pretty fun game to run. Very intense, and there's a lot of different ways to do it between New Game Plus, and both campaigns. There's some cool things about Campaign 2082, don't get me wrong, but overall it's a little bit longer and a little bit more dull because there's some auto-scrollers, so that is why I submitted this campaign instead. However, I hope you guys enjoyed learning a little bit about this. I know there's a lot to go over. The HUD's really complicated. There's a lot of buttons. You know, I freak out too. You know, we all freak out a little bit, but the ride's over. You can unbuckle your seatbelts and enjoy the rest of the marathon. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to watch more Steel Battalion action or any of my other speedruns, you can check me out at twitch.tv/plywood_. Thank you all so much.
Have a good night.